So it's been a pretty slow news time, so I'm going to be talking about why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could be good in 2018. Just flat out, why the Buccaneers could be good in 2018. I did this recently with the Cleveland Browns, so I figured I'm going to go ahead and do like a little mini-series on the channel where I talk about teams that I think could potentially be good in the 2018 season. The Cleveland Browns being one, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being another team. So when thinking about what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have on the current team and what they need to do, it really boils down to the offensive and defensive lines, respectively. On offense, you have guys like Jameis Winston, Deshaun Jackson, which I'm not a big fan of, but it still is Deshaun Jackson. You have Mike Evans, you have Chris Godwin, you have O.J. Howard, and you have Cameron Brate. Now, that's pretty good for offensive weaponry, in my opinion. The question on offense comes in when you have your offensive line and you have your running back situation. Doug Martin's still on the team, however, it's more likelier than not that he is going to be removed from the team. After that, you have Charles Sims with an expiring contract, you have Jaquiz Rodgers with an expiring contract, and you have Peyton Barber, who I also believe has an expiring contract. So if you're the general manager of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you've got to sit down and you've got to think, okay, well, what are we going to do with the running back position? There's a handful of guys out there who might hit the free agent market. Le'Veon Bell, which that's going to be a lot of money if you want to do that. You have Isaiah Crowell, you have guys like Jerick McKinnon, who's more of a complement back, so if that happens, then you're going to want to draft somebody. A lot of people have considered drafting Rashad Penny, Sonny Mitchell, Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, which quite frankly, Saquon Barkley is probably not going to drop to the Bucs pick at number 7. So running back's a very big question mark. Do you stay with the current guys that you have and then just draft somebody, or do you just clean house and start over? A lot of fans have thought that they want to start over, and I can kind of see why you would feel that way. If it was me, though, I'd probably hang on to at least Charles Sims and Peyton Barber. Charles Sims is a pretty good complement back, and I feel he probably would command less money than, say, like a Jerick McKinnon. And Peyton Barber's just a good backup to have. If your guy goes down with an injury, I think Peyton Barber can step in and start a couple of games. Jaquiz Rodgers, I feel we don't necessarily need that much. But it's really going to be interesting looking forward in terms of the running back position, because do you go out and you sign a big-name guy like Le'Veon Bell and focus on other needs in the draft, or do you take advantage of what is considered a very, very deep running back class and draft a Rashad Penny or a Sonny Mitchell or a Nick Chubb? It'll be very interesting to see what they do there. However, a running back usually needs a lot of help, and that is in the form of their offensive line. Now, the Bucs right now, at left tackle, it's going to be Donovan Smith. I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm not the biggest Donovan Smith fan, but he has shown pretty decent moments, in my opinion. I've been very harsh on Donovan Smith before, but I'm willing to give him another year. I'm trying to be more patient, so I'll be more patient with Donovan Smith. At center, you have Ali Marpet, who's very solid. You could probably play him anywhere on the offensive line, probably minus left tackle, and he'll still be good. He'd probably still be a good left tackle, but he's a very good center for us, and it'll be nice to have him right in the middle of our offensive line next season. And at right tackle, you have DeMar Dodson, who again is a very solid, reliable veteran option, who is, probably our best offensive lineman, followed by Ali Marpet, and then probably Donovan Smith. But, the real problem here lies in guards. Our left guard and our right guard situation, the Buccaneers' left guard and right guard situation is not good. I guess I shouldn't say ours. I'm not exactly a coach on the team or anything. I'm just a guy talking about football. So, guard is where the problem lies for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You have Kevin Panfield, you have J.R. Sweezy, and you have Evan Smith, and I believe that's it at your guard position. That's not exactly the most, good. That's not the best options. J.R. Sweezy was supposed to do good, but back injuries have derailed him. Kevin Panfield is just kind of basically a backup. Same with Evan Smith to this point in his career. He's a safety converted to a backup, We also have Joe Hawley, but Joe Hawley doesn't play guard. Joe Hawley plays center, which we should keep Joe Hawley, in my opinion. I love Joe Hawley. So guard's really the main problem here. So what do we do at guard? Well, when you look at the free agency list, it's not the best options at guard, to be honest. It's not that bad, but it's nobody like last year. Last year it was a pretty good lineup of guards and stuff like that. The Browns got a couple of good guards, I believe, but it's nothing like that this year. And you're really thinking about draft if you're thinking about offensive linemen. And one guy that a lot of people have been projecting to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is guard Quentin Nelson, which for me, that's my guy for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm a big Quentin Nelson guy. I want him pretty much over anybody else. Quentin Nelson's my dude. His pro comparison is Logan Mankins, and I really think that he'd be. A lot of people are saying there's a legitimate argument for him to be the best all-around player in this draft, and I think if he drops to number 7, then yeah, we should probably get him. There's going to be a lot of skills players, a lot of quarterbacks and skill players going before that, but the Bucs really need to go and really fix that offensive line. A lot of people are saying that Quentin Nelson's a better draft prospect than Zach Martin, Cowboys offensive lineman, who's probably one of the best offensive linemen in the league right now. So it's really going to be difficult. I mean, do you trade for some offensive linemen? You know, that's also another option. It's probably not very likely. They did trade for Logan Mankins, however, so it's not, you know, it's not out of the question. Jason Light could totally pull the trigger on that. He's done it before. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do with the offensive line. Maybe expect a trade. Probably don't expect much in free agency, besides some low-end guys who are expected to be starters, maybe. But definitely look for them to draft a couple of offensive linemen to play guard at least. But looking on the defensive side of the ball, you have a much more interesting situation, especially at specifically edge rusher. You have your linebackers, which are fine. Safeties, which I feel you could get a couple of guys in there, maybe. Cornerback, same situation. And defensive end. The defense, I feel, needs a lot more work. You have your defensive ends. You have Noah Spence, who I feel could be very good. You have Gerald McCoy, who's a monster. You have Clinton McDonald, who I feel is very underrated and I feel is very good. And you have Chris Baker, which, you know, yes, he didn't do that good, but I feel maybe give him another chance. It's more likely than not that he's going to get released, and I'm honestly fine with that. But if they do keep him another year, then positive. He's a 300-pound, 6-foot tall guy who can probably stop the run if he actually tries. So that's okay. You have Robert Ayers, who actually played pretty good last year, and you have Noah Spence coming back from an injury, so that definitely helps your defensive line depth. You have Levante David, Quan Alexander, and Kendall Beckwith, one of the best linebacking cores in the league, in my opinion. You also have Vernon Hargraves at corner, which honestly, that's pretty much it. You have Brent Grimes, who we don't know if he's going to retire or not right now. We also don't know if the Bucs are even going to be able to re-sign him. He's probably going to command around $8 million a year, which the Bucs can't afford, and I think they should afford it. But if you can't get Brent Grimes and Brent Grimes retires, you've got to go out into free agency and you've got to pick up a pretty decent corner. There's going to be some decent cornerbacks out there. You have Malcolm Butler, you have Tremaine Johnson, who's going to be out there, and you have a couple other guys. Prince Amukamara is another one, as well as, I believe, Kyle Fuller. So those are 4 guys right there, as well as Morris Claiborne. You know, there's a lot of cornerbacks out there who could be starters for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary. So really expect them to go big on some cornerbacks. But again, defensive end is going to be another fix that you're going to need to make. Ziggy Ansah is a huge one for me. DeMarcus Lawrence is a huge one for fans, but honestly, he's probably not going to go anywhere. But if you can get a Ziggy Ansah, or at least somewhere close to that, you'll be rolling, you know. Michael Bennett's another name that comes up, as well as Aqib Talib at the cornerback position. If you bring back Michael Bennett, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I guess it couldn't. It's better than nothing, right? You know, it's better than what we had this year. That's actually a fact. You know, really, Noah Spence, Robert Ayers are the only 2 guys that are currently on the roster that you can expect to rush the passer, and that's not bad. If Noah Spence bulks up and Robert Ayers plays, you know, if Robert Ayers actually is able to sack the quarterback instead of just getting pressures, because I think he had the most pressures on the team this year, then, you know, that's honestly not that bad. If you draft a guy like a Marcus Davenport, if you trade down and you draft a Marcus Davenport, because honestly he's not going to go at number 7 and he shouldn't. If you get like if Bradley Chubb somehow falls to you, which that's probably not likely, maybe you trade up with the Colts to the number 3 pick and you get Bradley Chubb. I wouldn't be a problem with that. You know, a lot of people have been speculating, well, what is it going to take to get Jadeveon Clowney? That's probably not going to happen, but you know, it could happen. You know, Bucs have made some blockbuster trades before. They traded for Darrelle Revis, so I wouldn't put it past them. But there's a couple of options here. You know, it's certainly some interesting options that the Bucs have, specifically at the defensive line. At safety, you have Justin Evans and Chris Conte, and Keith Tandy and Josh Robinson. So it's not terrible. You're probably going to expect Justin Evans and Chris Conte to be your 2 guys unless they sign somebody. That's not bad. I mean, Chris Conte, he's not good, but he's been playing out of his mind lately, so you know, he's not bad. Justin Evans is probably one of the brighter rookies, along with Kendall Beckwith on this, just in general, just on the team in general. Kendall Beckwith and Justin Evans I was probably the most impressed with. OJ Howard actually played really well as well. So it's not looking too bad on the defense. All you need to really do is sign a couple of defensive ends, a Ziggy Ansah, you know, maybe bring in a couple of cornerbacks if Brent Grimes retires, but if you can retain Brent Grimes, have Vernon Hargreaves, and sign maybe another couple of guys who are like legit, you know, pretty decent depth, and bring in a safety, probably at least one. You know, all you probably need is just one more safety, and this isn't a bad team. You know, you don't need to fix a whole lot. The two lines, and just retain some of your guys, and maybe bring in a couple more pieces, and it's honestly not that bad. You know, get a couple of guards, get a couple of defensive ends, and you're fine. Honestly, it's not that bad. And you know, retain your corners and maybe bring in a couple corners. That's really it. So that's pretty much why the Bucs can be good in 2018 if they fix their offense, if they fix their guards, if they fix their defensive ends, and if they fix their cornerback situation. Then they'll be fine. I think that they could be good in 2018. But let me know why you think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can be good in 2018, and down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your opinions about it. But I do hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and as always, I will see you in the next video. But until then, goodbye for now, guys.